Hey, everybody out there in Crowdcast land. Thank you very much for joining us for our roundtable event here with New Zealand Hops. Welcome. Great to have everybody here. Thanks for making the time to join us for the live version of this, our third Brewers Roundtable. In case you're new, we wanted to share a little bit of information about us. So we are Charles Faram. We're founded in 1865, oddly enough, by a guy named Charles Faram. We're a grower-owned hop merchant based in the Worcester, United Kingdom. We have additional offices in Yakima, Toronto, and now Vilkau, and we use those for sort of importing and exporting hops all around the world. We have the largest selection of spot and contract hops in Canada, and we support an extensive hop breeding program in the UK, both our own and another one through Y College, which is out there. So the Brewers Roundtable is an event that we throw, and it's a method we developed to help get new ingredients into the hands of brewers and to generate feedback on those ingredients. So in this instance, we provided hops to some of the most capable brewers from around Canada. We let them brew a beer with it, and then we gathered them all here to share their thoughts. In the past, we've used the roundtables to launch new hops from our development program in Canada. You might be familiar with some of the varieties here. And if you take a look at our Crowdcast profile, you can see the previous roundtable events, which were for Harlequin and Most, when we welcomed those brands to Canada. This time, however, we are celebrating something a little bit different, and that is our new partnership with New Zealand Hops Limited. While we've always distributed hops for the cooperative, we are now partnered with them to facilitate logistics and sales for their direct-to-brewer sales in North America. And we're going to start inviting up some of our brewers. So for this roundtable, we got to experiment with NZ H101, which is a trial variety from New Zealand hops. We sent out the hops to 5 different breweries, gave them the opportunity to brew some beer with it, and they provided us with some feedback in advance of the presentation. So we've detailed a few of their thoughts here, and we tallied up the results from their physical assessment and their hop rubs, and displayed them out in this spider graph. So we've identified stone fruit, citrus, and tropical fruit as kind of the big high notes of the flavor profile of NZH 101. But we are looking forward to hearing each of the individual brewers' thoughts on the hop and how they felt about using it. If you have any questions, please ask them while the brewer is on stage by using the Ask a Question function, because we only have so many people up here at a time. The brewers are going to be coming up one by one, and we want to make sure that they get to answer your question before they disappear. So without further ado, let's invite up Cody from Amsterdam Brewery.
Hello.
Cody, thank you for joining us earlier than anticipated.
No, it's all good. Thanks for having me. This is fun. We enjoyed making the beer.
Awesome.
Yeah. Can we just launch right into it?
Absolutely. Please tell us about yourself, tell us about your beer, and tell us about your experiences with NZ H101.
Cool. So my name is Cody Noland. I'm the brewing manager at Amsterdam. We did a rub with the NZH, and we thought it was kind of like if Citra was grown in New Zealand. We got a lot of citrus, but predominantly tropical, some white grape, and stone fruit. So we decided to make a cold IPA because that's what's cool right now. So we just made something called Cool Thing because we were being cheeky. It's 6.2%. It's almost 50 IBUs. We thought it would be cool to employ the hop in a biotransformation step. So we wanted to sort of get as much of the aroma out of it as we could. So predominantly we used it in Whirlpool, biotrans, and then a final dry hop. The hop didn't present itself as clearly in the brew as it rubbed. So we did up some of the New Zealand quotient by leaning on our Nelson supply. We expected it to be a little bit more punchy, and the Nelson definitely helped get it to that next level. But after trying through all of the beers that everyone made, there definitely is like a a line that you can taste through all of them. And it's kind of like if you were to rub this, it's like a fresh peach. And if you were to taste it, it's like a dried apricot. So that dried apricot kind of paired with some lychee and mango, maybe some Gewürztraminer flavors. And yeah, we liked it. I think we would use it again. I thought it would be cool to see what it would taste like with some other American hops, like maybe Cascade or Centennial or Citra, and some of the brewers have used those combos. So that's really cool to see. Probably good in a pale ale, wit beer, maybe a hybrid lager. With all trials, it'd be cool to see what the subsequent crop years of this do. It'd be nice to see, how that terroir gets pulled out in subsequent generations. But yeah, it definitely is something that we would use again.
Cool. Awesome. Glad to hear you enjoyed it. I'll ask this question to avoid embarrassment on behalf of any of the other audience members, but I have no idea what the difference between a cold IPA and an IPL is. Would you clarify what Amsterdam's approach was? You don't know either. I just asked the most difficult question.
It's made up. It's fake. It's just like, what's the difference between stout and porter? There is no difference. They're the same.
So I have heard. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, the only thing I would say is that because of the ubiquity of biotransformation, in my mind, the biggest difference between a cold IPA and an IPL is biotransformation. That's the only thing that I could be like, that's something that we did that I would never have thought of in an IPL. So
you're fermenting sort of at the upper range with the lager yeast to try and get a little bit more of that biotransformation activity.
Yeah, we started off cold. So we started it off at 11, 12C, and then at 50% attenuation, we brought it up to 16, but we didn't let it go above 16. We were kind of worried about what might happen. We used a really clean fermenting lager strain. We used our house lager strain, which is a nice, clean American lager. So that helped present the hops kind of at their barest. Like there's no real esters in this that are going to play with the hops. It's really just what do the hops smell like and taste like. That's why we wanted to go with a style that was so basic and stripped down.
Cool. Awesome. Any questions from the audience? See Jeff, which I can only imagine is Jeff from Collective Arts, yelling hot IPL. Is that the beer?
Yeah.
Not everybody has a package, so if you wouldn't mind showing off the beer, and if you have a can there, that would be great too.
Oh, this is the beer. It's got a cool label. Dre's with me. Dre designed a label. She did a really good job. Yeah, it's. But this one I got from Draft because Draft's always better.
Awesome. All right, Cody. Thank you very much for your time. Really great hearing your feedback, and we're going to invite up Catherine next from Lost Craft / High Park Brewery.
Oh, hey, hello.
Hey.
Right in the middle of pouring my beer, so I was not totally prepared.
Awesome. That's all right. Your audio and video are functioning, and you're here with us, and that is what's important.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it to you.
All right. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Catherine. I'm the head brewer for Lost Craft Beer and High Park Breweries. Been there since October of last year, so I'm still a little fresh in the role. But we have made with the NZ H101 a Hopfenweiss. So I don't know if you can see it, but it's pretty cloudy. It's definitely got some wheat in it. And our hands were a little bit tied in terms of styles that we could brew because I have 4 fermenters and I'm running 3 yeast strains. So my schedule is pretty tense, but also upon rubbing the hop, we got a lot of like Cody said, like citrus off it, as well as like some sweet fruits, some tropical, some peach, and we thought like, oh, that might kind of work with a wheat yeast to give it like a Belgian wit type of character, sort of like your orange peel, your coriander, and we were also thinking that since New Zealand hops tend to lend themselves very well towards biotransformation, and phenolic yeasts tend to do the same. They might be a really good combination together. So yeah, we've basically got a German-style wheat beer, which is hopped not quite like an IPA, but more like an American pale ale. So similarly, on the rub, we got like the citrus, the tropical, the peach. But in terms of the actual expression of the hop in the beer, we did get a lot more of the like dried apricot, like dried like grapefruit rind almost, as well as a little bit of like woody character. One of the guys I was tasting it with indicated it was like freshly chopped green lumber almost, which I hadn't really gotten a lot in beers before. So that was an interesting tasting note. But yeah, we're reasonably happy with the hop. It is something I'd be interested in using again. Although I think I was considering doing something like combining it with Citra or some of the like bigger, more tropical North American style hops, but Superflux already did that for us, so I know what it tastes like. But yeah, I think definitely late usage in terms of like whirlpool or like dry hopping, because it is definitely more aroma forward. Although I think the bitterness that we are getting off it is pretty clean and pleasant, but feels like a bit of a waste of money just to use it for bittering. But
awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else, Catherine? Or we take some questions? Anybody got any questions out there for Catherine? You have a can or a bottle on you that you can show off? Awesome.
Yeah, which sorry for packaging in bottles for everyone who had to pack up and ship the boxes, but our new canning line is operational next week. Awesome.
Another sales pitch for a canning line company. Perfect. All right, Catherine, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate your brew. It's great. Nice yeast forward character too, which I really liked. It was cool to have that option amongst the selection of beers. Yours was kind of the only one that featured that, so it was distinct. But we're gonna see if we can jump back into to Devin's presentation, and then after that we'll continue on with the rest of the brewers. Thanks, Catherine. And to tell you a little bit more about New Zealand Hops Limited, we've got their Director of Sales, Devin Biondi. Devin.
Hi, guys. I just want to thank you all for jumping on with us today, and for the brewers that spent some time brewing these beers. I'm assured that there's a package on the way for me, so I'm very eagerly awaiting getting to sample some of those brews that were created. But if we jump right into the presentation, a little quick background on the New Zealand hop industry. So New Zealand wasn't or hops weren't native to New Zealand. They were brought over in the 1840s and 50s by German and English settlers. So we have 6th generation farmers right now in our co-op. Another big date to look at there is 1948. That was the establishment of the Hop Research Program, which is the reason we are brewing with NZ H101. And all the hops that have come out of New Zealand have come out of this program. So that's really the kind of what sparked our growth in New Zealand and kind of getting it out there into the world. Then another date, 1993, was when our cooperative was kind of born in the NZ hops. Yeah, so from 1993, when our company was started, the cooperative got its start. So in 2020, we did a big rebrand. So that's kind of where you see the Brax logo that I got here. And we feel like that's done a lot to get the name of the grower cooperative out there. Marketing wasn't a big focus for us in the past. So that was something that we've gotten a lot of awesome feedback on, and we're really excited to kind of like rebrand that and get into the new portion of our business. Jumping on the next slide. So we'll jump into the nitty gritty of our company. So 27 members. So we're grower owned. Our board of directors is all growers. They're anywhere from like 3rd to 6th generation. A lot of experience for these for this company in growing. So we have 18 varieties of New Zealand hops, and they've been coming out since the 40s pretty much. And what we did with the branding, some of you might recognize from the New Zealand Cascade or New Zealand Southern Cross and things like that. We rebranded these to kind of name in the regions that they were from. So Rawaka, Motueka, Mutri, like we really want to like give an ode back to New Zealand and the areas that a lot of these hops are grown. So 18 varieties total, but definitely we focus probably on 10 to 12 of them. Some of them are just kind of smaller, not as requested anymore, but you never know. They can circle back like clothing or something at some point. We also grow 6 varieties of certified organic hops, and that is Colin Oldham and Hoplands. So they new Hoplands, and he actually won a Knight of the Order of the Hop in 2013 for his work in organics. So he's awesome, and he's actually going to be visiting here in August. So I'll be running around with him. So maybe we can come see you guys if we get up to the above the border. In 2021, so total tons harvested is about 1,000 tons. We were expecting to get up to about 1,200 this year, but we had a really dry summer, and then rain about a week before harvest, which kind of dropped the yields a bit. So some of our farmers were down up to 20% on some varieties. Still able to fill all orders, but it was definitely a little less than we were expecting. But we had a huge crop in 2021, so I think some of the growers are kind of relieved, so we won't have anything to like sit on. Looking at our overall market, about 25% of our business is New Zealand, but we're a very high exporter. So 75% elsewhere, about 40 to 45 of that's in North America. So the US and Canada buys a very large portion of our hops. And then overall, the New Zealand hop industry is only about a 1% of the total hops grown in the world. So it's pretty incredible to see. It's definitely a small little sliver of the overall hop industry. Like some of these hop farms in Yakima, like one hop farm could be bigger than our whole industry. It's pretty incredible, the scale you see at some of these Yakima hop farms. And then just another one, we export to about 17 different countries right now. So yeah, now we'll jump into some geography stuff. So Nelson is located in so all of our hop farms are about 40 to 50 kilometers outside of the Nelson region. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're still on here.
You are still here. Thank you,
okay.
sir.
Yeah, Motueka, Mutri, Tapawera, and Wakefield. So this is all on the northernmost tip of the southern island, which kind of is a super fertile area. So the soil in New Zealand is some of the youngest soil on Earth. It's a very isolated area, very volcanic heavy. So that's kind of how you get these hop varieties that are so different than what you would find in Germany or Yakima or even Australia. Australia is definitely closer to the Yakima climate than New Zealand. Now, if we're jumping into this area a little closer, so as we go, the first circle that's going to pop up on this map that's the Motueka region. So you'll have Rawaka and Motueka both in there. We have 6 farms in this region. This area is known for very high sunshine hours, free draining alluvial soils. It's very fertile, and then the temperate coastal conditions. So some of the other areas get a little drier than Motueka specifically. The next circle is the Upper Mutri. So this is where we have about 5 of our hop farms. The soil here is really rich in clay, and this is what I think gives a lot of the Nelson kind of white wine, danky, diesel. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not variety. Character. That's the word. Sorry, I blanked out there for a second. But this is an area that's really good for growing hops but also other fruits like grapes, apples. So super fertile area. And then the next one down in the lower left is the Tapawera region. And this has the Motueka River running right through it. It used to be a high area for dairy farmers. So it's kind of getting transitioned into more and more hop fields. And this is where a lot of hop farmers are kind of going into to open up new farms. But this is where we have 11 farms. So this is our largest and most expansive region. And then lastly is the greater Wakefield. So this area is the closest to Nelson. So Nelson's up to the upper right on your screen. And this is probably the region that's the closest to that. And this is like a stony soil. So this is the Waimea Plains, they call it. And it's very nutrient rich. And then they grow grapes here as well for the wine industry. And then also berries. So a lot of different outside of hops, there's just like a lot of farms in this region. It's definitely a very high farming area of the New Zealand as a whole. And then as I was talking about some of those names and rebranding, this is the kind of timeline for when we released hops. Now this is about 94, 95, you kind of see those NZ where there's just kind of like an add-on. And then, so if you look at 94 and then the D SAW, 2000, that's Rawaka. So 2017 or 2007, excuse me, was when Rawaka was kind of rebranded. So this has done a lot to kind of, it's surprising how like marketing can change these things, because it was the same hop pretty much, but like now that these hops have a different name, there's a lot more interest from brewers overall. So the big ones there was Nelson in 2000 and then Nectaron in 2020. And then next thing I'm going to jump into really quick is the Plant and Food Research Institute. So that's a picture of Dr. Ron Beatson. So he's been at the Plant and Food Research Institute for 50 years. He was in charge of the hop breeding program for 38 years. So anything you see from the New Zealand region, Nelson, Rawaka, Motueka, these are all kind of his babies, and he had a very, very large part in that. He just recently retired about a month ago, and he's actually taken on a technical advisory role with the New Zealand Hop Co-op. So we're really excited to have him on board. He is the godfather of hops in New Zealand. Like, he's come out with it all. So Nectaron, when you see that, that's like an ode to him. So if you ever buy Dr. Rudy, that was his predecessor. So when you retire, you have a hop named after you as a parting gift. So we're really excited for him to be on board with us. And then the last slide I'll kind of run into is just looking at the overall breeding pipeline for the Plant and Food Research Institute. So we start, it's a process that like is very, very, very hard to get a new plant. So Nectaron took us about 17 years until it got commercialized. And then 102 or 101, excuse me, what we're brewing with today started in 2012. So it's a lot. We have about 19 plants in advanced selection right now. And some of those plants we have like 2 plants from. So there's a very high rate of failure, but as we get closer and closer, we have 101 to 105, which is our strongest ones. And there's still a chance that some of these don't make it to the final commercialization stage. So this is it's pretty incredible what our Plant and Food Research Institute's able to do here. And this also shows you guys how important it is to get the feedback from yourselves and trial brew with these. And then the last thing we want to really do is have growers planting stuff that brewers don't want to brew with. So having these forums and having you guys do these trial brews is so important to the New Zealand hop industry, because we need to understand what the market's calling for, because it's such a big part of our business, especially in the United States and Canada, that we need to we want to make sure that you guys are getting what you like, and what we can make sure that the growers can continue farming. And with that, I'm sure I missed like 2 or 3 brewers, but we could jump back into the brewers now.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Devin. Great to hear about New Zealand hops and all the different regions and stuff. That's really cool. I didn't realize there were so many sort of niche regions, and that certain hops were kind of tied to certain areas, which I think is a really interesting kind of bit there. That they're kind of separated in that fashion. So that was a fun fact for me, for sure. We'll just review this one more time. We did look at it a little bit earlier without you, but this was all the data we collected from the brewers in advance about NZ H101. As Devin mentioned, this was crossed by Dr. Ron from that photo a few slides back, and we plotted out all the different aromas that brewers thought that they got in the rub on this nice little spider chart here. But we'll take that down and head on into our third brewer. We're going to have Aslan from Main Street Brewing. So let's invite him on up.
Hey, all.
Hey, Aslan, how's it going?
Good.
There's a hype man in the crowd for you right now, yelling your name. Or hype woman, sorry. I could. Yeah.
JC. Yeah. He's a loud one. Yeah, so we brew. I'm Aslan, brewer for Main Street Brewery. We, for our trial, decided to do a Pacific Ale, much like the Cold IPA type thing. It's pretty much a hazy pale. But yeah, here it is. It's also our 8th anniversary brew. We, in the rub for the hops, kind of identified a lot of kind of fleshy peach, white fruit, but like a lot of New Zealand hops kind of unanimously found like there was almost like a noble characteristic. But yeah, with that in mind, we kind of wanted to limit the amount of hot side flavor, but we did want to kind of push NZ H101 as the focal. So we, using Pacific Ale, felt it would be good to just do like a hop stand Whirlpool edition. We held that. I think our total knockout time is about 45 minutes at 78 degrees. And then we did a post-fermentation dry hop at 13 degrees. The like noble aspect of it kind of, after presented in the beer, almost subtly like a bit of like OG, which I think lent itself well in like the cold IPA. Haven't had a chance to try Superflux's West Coast, but that was kind of a thought where we felt like it would work well in. But overall, I think it would also be great as like New World lager or saison, kind of as a focal point. This beer, pretty hazy. The base malt was split between wheat, maris otter, and pale malt. So yeah, it's I think it worked out quite well. The stone fruit is definitely still present, and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I did get a chance to try all the beers over the weekend, and I thought that the Main Street one definitely showed off the most of that sort of like really dense peach character that came through in the rub. Like that's really present in this beer. It's kind of like the focal point to me, which I thought was really cool. Lends itself well to that like lower ABV range. I think it helped like fill it out a little bit with some kind of texture, you know?
Yeah, totally. I think it didn't outshine the beer and sat well overall.
Awesome. All right. Up next, we've got Andrew from Lake Base Brewing. Thank you very much, Hassan. Was there anything else you wanted to add? Sorry, before I just
no, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much. Let's have Andrew come up here. Andrew, hello.
Hey, Devin.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was
Good.
joking that pirate ship got you from when we talked.
I saw that. I really knocked it out of the park first try too.
Well, glad you're back.
There was a behind-the-scenes fight as to who had the best view, and we're a toss-up between Devin and Andrew, who seem to be outdoors.
I'm doing all right out here.
I don't have any water. It's kind of like lowland down there, so it's not. I can't show that off. It's not worth it. So.
All right, Andrew.
So I'm Andrew Welsh, head brewer from Lake Base Brewing Company. Been with the company for almost 10 years. 10 years in about a month now. So we're getting up there. So when I got the hop and rubbed it, and I got huge pineapple off of it, and I was thinking, okay, this is East Coast or hazy or somewhere in that realm. But on the back end, I was kind of getting like a woody, earthy sort of vibe to it, a little bit of pine, and knowing the reputation of some of the hazy makers in this crowd, kind of wanted to see where that kind of more piney note could go. So West Coast was sort of a natural kind of path. So we made West Coast 6.3 50 IBUs called Karamia Bite, which is a large bay on the west coast of New Zealand. So hipstery of me, but I was actually, I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. Off tank, I was getting huge notes of peach. I was actually worried that somehow I made just like a big caramel infused East Coast, and like it was tasting all right. We did do a decent dry hop, not not during biotransformation, more during the end. But I think it turned out really nice. I mean, it's clean. West Coast is that style that seemingly I think we've all sort of forgotten about a little bit, and kind of I think there's pockets of us are hoping it's coming back. So it was kind of nice to explore that realm again. Overall, like I like the hop. I think that there's better ways to utilize it personally. I think it works fine. This is a full, like, it's single hop. I just wanted to see exactly what we were going to get out of it. So we moved ahead with a single hop, but I think if we added a little bit more 0 minute bitterness and maybe combined it with something a little more punchy, just as like a really nice blend, that's where I see this hop kind of finding a really nice space. Something definitely I want to explore a little bit more in some different styles, maybe some lighter styles. I think we were kind of talking about was Aslan saying like New World Lager or something in that realm where it's a little more subtle, as it wasn't as punchy as the rub kind of made it seem, but it's still pretty tasty, and really happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Yours was the darkest beer of the bunch for sure. I'm sure it clocks in at a whopping 9 SRM or something like that. Yeah. It sounds funny saying it was the darkest
basically
beer.
Basically, it's stout at this point. You know,
one step away. But you know what? I think that the malt character did bring out a little bit more of the like sweeter fruit notes. You know, like had a little bit of support from that crystal malt, and it really helped push that the overripe kind of tropical character a little bit. Like it does have this like lingering kind of like candied fruit type character to it that I think is sort of that wombo combo of the malt and the hop together. So it was cool to see it in that light, where all the other beers are paler. So it was an interesting sort of laneway for you to take us down.
Yeah, between that's exactly sort of what I was getting. I think in our tasting notes we almost put sort of like fruit cup, like that syrupy sort of, not like I was like sitting there and I was like, I kind of know what this is, and it's not like as sweet, but like there's something about that. Maybe it's just that I have a kid at home now where it's like, oh, I'm smelling all these sorts of things, but like it just was, it was a little bit sweeter, it had a little like density to it, like dark honey, but played well with caramel malts in my mind, and definitely again something I'm going to explore, maybe blend it up a little bit instead of a single hop, but definitely has an application for us in the future.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much, Andrew. Up next,
thanks, Andrew.
Simon from Superflux.
Hey, guys.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Simon.
I'm Simon. I am the head brewer at Superflux in Vancouver. We did 2 beers with this hop, so it just kind of worked out that we had 2 available tanks that we usually use for experiments side by side. So I thought it would be cool to try it in a kind of a East Coast hazy and a West Coast as well, to see how it did each and what we could get out of it. Hands here. We just did a side by side mix pack with them in our experimental series. One's fairly clear and the other's pretty hazy.
Nice.
I thought there was quite a bit of difference between the rub and then how it presented itself in the beers. We used it only in dry hop for both of them. We kind of always use specific things in the hot side for most things, and when I'm testing out new hops, I like to keep other variables pretty consistent so that I can tell exactly what the new variety is doing and what impact it has. Pretty heavily dry hopped at our regular dry hopping rates. I found, the rub I thought was, had like some more kind of tropical, very fruity notes. Definitely had like a dank side to it, and like kind of a danker Nelson sort of, like it's a bit more oily. I thought it smelled pretty cool and interesting. In the beer itself, like that dank, I don't think it's really like onion garlic like Aslan was talking about. for me, it's pretty like green pepper skin is what I get a lot of. I get a lot of that from like Enigma and that sort of thing. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I think if you're using it in a high quantity of the dry hop, a big percentage of the dry hop, it can come off not the most pleasant. So I would say, yeah, for me, this hop might not be like a single use hop. It's not going to like carry the majority of the dry hop, but I think it has like some depth of character and some really cool tones that would work kind of as a backbone or like in a smaller percentage in a lot of different styles. I've kind of gone back and forth between the hazy and the West Coast. I initially thought that it worked better in the West Coast, and then there was a period where the hazy was really nice, and now that I'm sitting here drinking them, I kind of think the West Coast is better. I don't know, maybe it works in everything if you use it correctly. But
Picking your favorite child is always tough, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It definitely has characters that I like in both. We did not use it as a complete single hop. We did pair it with some other stuff in both of the beers. Usually when I'm trying out new hops that I've never brewed with before, I kind of back it up, usually with Citra as a safety net, because it's kind of a safe bet. But the majority, like, 60-70% of both of these dry hops is 101. But yeah, thanks so much for the hops. Thanks for working with us and including us in this. It was sweet to test them out.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us.
Extra credit for 2 brews.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to everyone else, but
yeah. No, I mean, it's cool to get, for your own experience, to get 2 different angles on it.
Yeah, it's always nice with brand new hops to get an idea, because like there's been some hops that I've been surprised by and that like work super well. Like Talus, I thought would be really good in hazies, and then I tried it in a West Coast and it was way better in a West Coast in my opinion. And it's always nice to get kind of both sides of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much, Simon. Anybody have any questions for Simon out there? No. All right. Thank you very much for your time and your feedback. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Simon.
Awesome. I'm going to flip back to the PowerPoint for a couple seconds, and we've got a couple more things we wanted to share with you before we wrap up for today. Big thanks to all the brewers. Amazing beers. Everybody, really did a great job, knocked it out of the park. Really tasty brews. All really well executed. Super stoked with what we got out of this. I think lots of really great feedback generated for us and for Hops New Zealand as well about where the Hops Home might be and what people are thinking they want to do with it in the future. So that was really, really awesome. We really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I was actually just writing into the chat. So thank you to everybody. Really appreciate everyone taking part in it and joining us today and getting the feedback on everything. I missed some of it, but I'll rewatch the video and see what everybody had to say. Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
Awesome. That's all right. It's all right. We made it through. We figured out a way around it. Last but not least, before we go, we know a bunch of you have roundtable beer packages in front of you. If you do, we decided to drop in a little sneak peek for the next roundtable. So that is going to feature Vista hops, which is an exciting new public variety from Hop Research Council in America. There's some samples in there for you to rub and get a little preview on. This roundtable is going to take place this year, probably late fall, maybe early winter. It's going to feature our friend, the unofficial hype man of the public hop industry, Mr. Eric Snarad, who I believe is in the crowd somewhere there.
He's here, yeah.
Yeah, if you are a brewer and you are interested in producing a beer with Vista and participating in the roundtable, just like the 5 brewers we had here, please drop your name and contact details in the chat, and I will be in touch with you in the near future as we start to plan things out and see what people might want to do with Vista. Yeah, and last but not least, we'll just share our contact details with you. If you have any questions that come up, after this, you want to know more about New Zealand hops, you want to know more about Charles Faram, you want to know more about NZ H101 or the beers or the brewers, please feel free to reach out to any of us. Rebecca unfortunately had some technical difficulties, wasn't able to join us, but she's our general manager, myself, the technical advisor, and of course, Devin, director of sales for New Zealand Hops Limited.
Yeah, appreciate everyone jumping on. It was awesome. Shane, thanks for putting this together.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, we love to do this type of stuff. It's great to get everybody together. You know, it's such a fun, like, social event, and you know, we get the feedback, and people get to make beers, drink beers. I mean, this is why we're in this industry, right? Good times all
I need
around.
that tracking. I need the tracking number. I got to find these beers
for your package. The man's thirsty. All right, awesome. Thank you very much. We'll stick around for a few minutes and answer any questions in the chat, but I think we're pretty much done for today. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thanks again to all the brewers and Devin as well for making this thing happen. Couldn't do it without you. Love the feedback. It really goes a long way to help out everybody's development programs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks again, everybody.